Say breast cancer, only 3% is DNA. The rest is from stress. That's what the research shows us. So how do we get people off the stress? The medicine can help us. Bring us back to who we really are. Most people are afraid of change. It's usually through pain, crisis, and failure that people finally crawl in to ask for help.
In case the people start to keep working in the same way to working with ayahuasca, in 20 years disappear the jungle.
No more ayahuasca.
No more ayahuasca, that's the truth.
I'm so excited to introduce you today to Michele Costa, a transpersonal psychotherapist, a shamanic healer, and a maestra of San Pedro, and Ruben Orellana, the head archaeologist or former head archaeologist at Machu Picchu, a shaman and curandero with a 48-year unblemished record working with the plant medicines of the Andes, ayahuasca and San Pedro. This is in particular a very exciting episode for me because I've worked personally with Michele and Ruben for the best part of 6 years, and they've had a hugely transformative effect on my life. In this episode, we're going to cover the journey of becoming a shaman, the transformative impact plant medicines can have on your mind and your body, and also what Michele and Ruben believe will happen when it comes to consciousness and the future of plant medicines in society. The reason I started this podcast was to give you a trusted place to hear about the latest innovations, ideas, and concepts that are helping you live a healthier and more prosperous tomorrow. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. in the UK, 3 a.m. EST, we're going to be dropping a new episode. So if you want to be the first to be notified of episodes with Christian Angermeyer, Aaron D'Souza, the founder of Enhanced Games, Nidhi Pandya, and Peter Diamandis, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. Now, I hope you enjoy the episode. Let's dive in. So Ruben, first to you. What do you want people to know about your childhood that set you on this path, this unique path as a curandero, as a head archaeologist at Machu Picchu, as a shaman, as a wise owl?
Oh, wow. You start to tell many things about this. Good to know that. And but for what always I share, I grew in one town. What in this time is very peaceful, very quiet. Cusco is not a tourist place because now it's a tourist place and it's crazy because you walking in the street and you have the choice to hear 10, 20 different languages speaking because we have people to visit Cusco, Machu Picchu from all the countries. But in my time, I remember when I was a child, I play in the streets. What now is impossible. And when I tell to this, the young generation, they don't believe. And that's what happened. I have friends, what we play. And that's what I remember from childhood, to really play. And play in the simple way, no with high technology. In my time, when I was a child, no have TV. In my time, when I was a child, the way we have communication is with telegrams. And when the men of the post office come into home, it's because somebody have a celebration, the birthday, or when coming and nobody have celebration, is because some of the relatives pass away. That's more or less what happened in this time. That's what I remember from childhood. Also, this beautiful time, very playful.
And then one day, if I may, he was playing, and they were playing soccer, a game he doesn't really like. But the soccer ball went into somebody's home, sort of hacienda style. And Ruben walked in and saw plants hanging, crystals, etc. And that's your first teacher that you met?
Yeah, but in this time, what Michele say, I don't like it even now, football. I know this is weird for Latin countries, but even now that is the same. I don't like it. But this time, because the friends called me, I said, we need one more to play in the street. And I pushed me to go. Finally, one day the ball go inside to the house and I go there and say, it's not here. Everybody say, don't be stupid. Everybody watching where they go the ball. I go back and I saw the hands of one man holding the ball and I pick the ball and I watching inside and it's so many colors. And I like it. I say, what you doing? And he say, I made the offering to the Mother Earth, to the Pachamama. I say, cool. Do you like to teach me? And he looked into me and he said, yes.
How old were you then?
I think 7.
7 years old.
Yeah, 7 years. So the curiosity, because I am exploring from the beginning.
And just to give a bit of context, this was a shaman, a curandero who...
Yeah, this is a curandero. And but I don't have ideas to a curandero. Only I like the colors what I saw in the table. You have many colors because the offering to the Mother Earth is with flowers, with seeds, all this is rainbow colors. Call my attention. And I like it. That I don't have any idea, connection, knowledge about what is curandero. Only I love the colors, that's all. And of course, he shared with me many years later, when I say, you like to teach, he watching me, I say, oh, I say no, and I have problems. Okay, I say yes. And you say, I coming back tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. And I expecting, coming o'clock. In this time, nobody has watched. And he said, the next day, you are 4:30 on time in the home. I don't have other choice to start to share with you. But in the moment when I share with me, I love it. I don't remember too much about this beginning because I remember many colors. Years later, he teaches me to go to the market plants, but I don't have even any idea about healing curandero, what now they call shamans. Nothing.
But this man saw you as a 7-year-old and said, come with me, I will teach you. So he saw something.
Yeah, he saw.
Something.
He saw. I am a little diablo, a little demon, because he tell me years later. I say yes because I thinking. I say no. You start to talking what he doing. He not like to share. He not. I create problems because that's what happened when I was a child. When I want son, I'm moving in zigzag until I want. When I don't have son, what I want, I create problems. Some what I need, sometimes I forget. But that's what I'm doing. I remember when I was a child, it's so hard for me to eat. And my family pushed me to eat. I put in my mouth some piece of meat. When somebody watching other place of the room, I take the meat from my mouth and I put it in my pocket. That's what I do. So this is always, I am this kind of person. What I love to explore, but we have one expression. The third, we are the little diablos, the little demon. Yeah. Always you create problems and you are in problems. That's what happened in the beginning. And even now, I think.
Yeah.
But I also think it's that there are other signs. That from North American tradition, there are other signs that Ruben would have had. At the birth, this person is different. At the birth, something goes on. Something that happens and they have to get over it. Later on, there will be an illness that will take them deeper into the other worlds. 1 foot in one world, 1 foot in this world, what we call middle world here. And so the child growing up also has these other things happen. By the time Ruben is older, can I say this? He got hit by lightning twice. Okay, that is a mark of a curandero. You start thinking in those ways too. So there's an energy or an energetic quality that somebody has, but they possibly born with it. But because they have these initiation rites, these trials that you have to get over and pursue and get through, you learn empathy.
Mm.
You learn compassion. You can learn patience.
Yeah.
You can learn curiosity. All of these amazing things can happen, as you know, because you got hit hard too.
Mm.
So in those times when we've had injuries and illnesses, yeah, that's where the curandero can start to evolve.
Thanks for that, Michele. Thousands of miles above Cusco, you were being raised similar time in California, right?
Yeah, in California.
Was your childhood did it have any significant moments of a shift or something that led you down the path that you went to? Because I know you were initially an actress and then moved further in your career into psychotherapy.
Yeah. I'm blessed because my parents were spiritual people. I wasn't raised within a religious family, but my dad believed in like Shinto Buddhism, which is actually a form of shamanism. So I was taught that everything was a being, everything had energy, everything was to be respected. And this is 1952 when I was born. So everything, and we lived in the countryside. I was born not being able to hear. So that's my first thing.
Wow.
I have to be able to have the operations hear and then learn how to speak later than other children. And another time I got hit hard too. So there were these things that would happen where I'd get hit hard, but I had these very loving parents that would hold me through these times. And through these times, if I spoke about things that were maybe a little different, they never said, no, that doesn't exist, or that's your imagination. They never said anything like that. They just allowed us kids to be us. And we just ran wild. I mean, it was similar to Ruben's. I'm in the countryside. We have horses. You know, the telegrams, yes, they were still happening. I mean, it was very rural, where across the bay from San Francisco and over. And then for one curious reason, and my brother doesn't know why this happened either, I had a horrendous, extremely high temperature. Something hit me hard. I was about the same age, 6 or 7 years old. And my mom was a medical person and she couldn't get the temperature down. And we lived outside the city. And at that time, we had 4 people from, it might have been the Hopi Nation, but we had 4 people staying with us from a nation.
Oh, wow.
Why they were there, we don't know, because we were kids and there's no one to ask now.
Yeah.
And because of my high temperature, one of them came and helped. And then I came out from underneath it all. And all I wanted was feathers in my hair. I wanted a drum and I wanted a certain way of dressing. And my parents went, okay. So my dad tried to make me a drum. Mom tried to make me what I had asked for. And, you know, we lived out in the countryside. So they found feathers and they said, here.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. So there was already connection in your paths at such a young age.
Yeah.
Let's kind of fast forward to the beginning of your training. And Ruben, if you can share with us, because there was a defining moment, right? You went on an initiation with your teacher when you were 17. Am I right?
Yeah, but let me talking about the line. Many people, they think, the lining coming directly to my body, and it's not really that. The lining coming and create a circle, and I am in the middle. So that I touch the energy touched me.
Wow.
It's not about the hitting directly, because the hitting directly, they burn.
You're gone.
Yeah, and that is the difference, because some people, they thinking, come on, where is it in your skin? It's touch around me. And I have many different experiences in my life. For example, I have the rheumatic fever to affect to my heart. When they affect to my heart, we are in Puno, in the Plateau Highlands, and the doctors automatically said, don't do that. You have high altitude, your heart problems. And that is what happened in this time. And years later, I have surgery in my heart, and they put a metallic valve, and I'm okay. But around this time, I have my mentor allowed to me to connect with all the healers. And I connect with beautiful, beautiful healers, because in my country, they have, until in the 90s, have beautiful ancient traditions. And the people of the coast, the jungle, the plateau, the highlands, working different because they grow in a complete different environment. And they deal with different energies. And I have a teacher to start to share with me the way to cook the huachuma, what is the cactus.
Yeah.
And I training with this guy a long time. And this is one initiation I have with this medicine. Of course, in this moment, this kind of medicines, they use in this psychotropic way. In our tradition, it's entheogens. Entheogen.
Okay.
God inside you to make big difference. In ancient language, they say vision plants or powerful plants. But when you translate to the Western culture, vision is about the future. Vision for us to allow to see what's going on inside you, not to look. Normally, I look my face in the mirror and I look in my face. I say, okay, I need to clean my glasses. I need to change this when you're looking. But it's so hard to see how is my heart in this moment, how is my liver in this moment. And that is the vibration to move this medicine plant to connect. Or power to have the strength to accept who you are. Because always, it's so hard to accept who you are. Always you look excuse. I am the doctor, I am this, I am that, whatever. No, I am not have suffering, I am strong, whatever, but it's not the truth. And that is more or less what they teaching to me, this medicine. Of course, to learn about this medicine take really long time, a lot of suffering, because one of the teaching is to be in the present. Because you're holding the cactus in your hands and you put attention to other things and automatically, ouch, because the cactus. That you need to put focus in what you do with your hand and with your eyes. This is part of that. And of course, I think in the way what the people talking about initiations, I have many different initiations. Year and a half I have stroke. And that is other initiation. I take conscience about what I need to do for myself. And of course, in this moment with the high tech, it's more easy. But that's what happened. When I have the stroke, the doctor, they say, we need to do this, we need to do that. I say, no. Finally, I am okay now. But it's very important to be in the present. Maybe tomorrow pass away, who cares? I am here, talking with you, I am happy. That is the first rule.
So the journey of moving from building a relationship with Wachuma, which is San Pedro, which is a form of masculine, right? Your first initiation or interaction with medicine to journeying with your curanderos to then becoming a curandero yourself. Like, what was that journey like? How did that kind of manifest and grow? Was it a couple of year process? I know you're probably always learning the medicine.
Yeah, of course. The native name is Achuma Wachuma. It's nothing about male or female. It's more about female, because coming from the Mother Earth. Colonial time, the Inquisition, they killed curanderos because they think it's the witches, the sorcerers, whatever. And these people, they changed the name from Wachuma to San Peter. Because San Peter in the Catholic tradition have the keys of the heaven. So when you're working with this medicine, you open yourself, the liberation, the freedom. That is the difference. And when I doing this practice, when I learn for this, even I do not have idea to be a healer. It's my curiosity only. All my life, the curiosity moved to me to explore. That's all what happened. Because after I connect with this, I connect with other plants too. I think so now, after the 90s, when some people of North America coming to my country to exploring, it's coming very popular, these medicines. And in this moment, they sell, I repeat, they sell Huachuma and ayahuasca. And they start to sell a frog,
Gambo?
Kambu, and half other one.
Okay.
Right. I don't like to really talk about that because in some ways it's to push the marketing. But we have other beautiful medicines to appear for the beginning in our cultures, even in the different cultures in the planet. But nobody talking about that. I don't know what is behind. I don't have time to explore. I don't like to put anger in my liver. That's what I say. I doing what I believe. I doing what my teachers share with me, my mentors, all this ancient tradition, and I study science, chemistry, anthropology, archaeology, not in order to be a successful archaeologist or that. I think so to understand better all this process of my history, where they have many different interpretations. Because people with different filters, they have complete crazy interpretation of our history. For example, this case of the San Pedro. San Pedro is not female, they smell, and the people look in this way, what the true, in our tradition, we are looking first for the female. But in Western culture, we have the pretension to be first. The first step is in the male, not the female.
What you're referring to is the proliferation of Western companies or retreat centers that are being built in Peru and elsewhere that are basically building their own formula or construct of how the medicine should be used and different rules and all that. And Ruben, you've got a rule, which is there are no rules, right?
I tell you, because I study anthropology, I start to discover incredible mistakes. For example, they say when you take some medicine, don't eat pork. In the jungle, in the beginning, don't have pork, wild pig. And the wild pig, when running in the jungle, normally the serpents, they bite. And this toxic vibration is in the fat of the wild pig. And the people, they say, don't eat because it's toxic. But it's nothing about red meat. It's about the toxicity of the fat of the wild pig. So some of this happened, in the modern time.
Yeah.
They say these medicines, healing addictions. I say, I am alcoholic. They healing me? Of course. Okay, perfect. When I go in, okay, you need to come in 1 month. You need to do fasting 1 month. Okay, what is the rule for fasting? Don't eat meat, don't eat pork, don't drinking alcohol. Okay, I stopped to drinking alcohol 1 month. I don't need the medicine because I am no more alcoholic. But this kind of rules, they know, for me, it's so hard to understand. They push in complete different direction. What does it mean?
So when you hear about the dieta, the diet, the dieta, when I first went, nobody was talking about a dieta. When I was first in the Amazon 23 years ago, no, it didn't exist. You didn't eat the pork, fine. They weren't going to serve it to me wild pork. And it just made sense. You weren't going to have this before a ceremony or that. But it wasn't because of some mystical thing. You just weren't going to have something really spicy in case you purge. So all of the diet stuff started happening later. For instance, when I was first also, they didn't say whether ayahuasca was male or female. That's not what I was told or taught. It could be either. It could be. It's a being. It's a being in its own right. Later, I started hearing it referred to as grandmother. And then I went, oh, grandmother. Okay, now you're putting a female form on it. But not only that, as Ruben will say, there's no word in Quechua or Aymara, in any of the language for grandmother. When you're in Peru, they say mother. It stops at mother. So these are just things that start to eat into a tradition
Yeah.
that has been there for so long. They're so lucky in South America. In North America, the traditions were ruined. Everyone was put into reservations
Yeah.
and told, you can't do this, you can't do this. When the conquistadors came in to Peru, people went high into the Andes and took the knowledge with them, and deep into the jungle and took the knowledge with them. It was that kind of 80s, end of 80s and 90s that started to eat away at the traditions.
Yeah.
What we try to do is honor the traditions.
Let's just dive a bit deeper into. So, Michele, from being an actress to then studying psychotherapy, right?
Yes.
To then becoming a shaman yourself and working with all these beautiful plant medicines. Like, how did you almost stack this knowledge base, and what drew you to different modalities as well?
It's crazy. The whole thing is rather insane. First of all, I was always curious in psychotherapy. I had been to remarkable therapists in California and then came this way. And that was always there. It was always churning over, etc. So at one point, I found transpersonal psychotherapy, in particular, psychosynthesis, where I was trained. But then I've trained on top of that as well. When I met my mentor here in London in psychosynthesis, I walked in and she looked at me and she said, she's from the States, my little shaman, I'll teach you what you want to know here, and then I'll teach you more, because she was from the nations. So there's that happened as well. But there's all these building blocks, and I don't call myself a shaman. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I'm not Indigenous, but I've been fortunate enough to have Indigenous people who were my teachers and still are. So when I got interested in the psychotherapy in the background, I was in LA. I was dealing with other actors. They were wonderful actors, but they kept missing auditions. And I said, this is the same thing. What is going on with them? And I thought, it's a psychological thing. There's something here that's happening and they can't get any further. And then I just had a vision. This happens. I had a vision and it said, put it all together. So I said, okay, what I know from 18 years of theater, I'm going to take in to work with creatives and study psychotherapy. I'm already a shamanic practitioner. I'm going to put that in there as well. Then I have a huge accident and a life-saving back operation. When I came out of the whole thing, the neurosurgeon said, I don't know if you can use your left leg, and you might have to have a cane for the rest of your life, blah, blah. I tried everything. That's what took me to South America. I was going, this is so painful, and I can't live like this because I'm a very active person, and I just can't take that for my answer.
You tried everything. So you tried different modalities, practitioners.
Everything that this country had to offer. And I would go anywhere. And then for some reason I heard ayahuasca, and to this day I don't even know how I heard about it. Maybe Stuart Wilde, I don't know. But it stuck. And then this thing unfolded, where after the operation I had people around my table, and I had said, a friend of mine was doing a documentary and I said, oh, when do you go up to Everest? And he said, no, I'm going to the Amazon. And I blurted out, take me with you. There's something there that can help me. And he said, I wish I could. I said, are you filming a ceremony? And he said, yes. I said, is it ayahuasca? And he said, I don't even know what this is. And I said, if I can get there, I know this plant can help me.
And this was
23 years
23 years ago, and it wasn't really on people's radar at that time.
No, not at all. And then my friends were laughing. They said, you can't even get into the kitchen. How are you going to go down the Amazon? And I said, hey, someone invite me, I'll be there. Week later, my mentor says, there's a woman from the States that you have to meet. And so I met the woman. She knew Ruben. She was going to the Amazon. I said, can I come? And she said, yes. And that's how I went.
For context, Michele, you are in your 70s now, right? And I've seen you dancing. You're dancing like someone in their 20s still.
I've never had a back operation.
Yeah. So something happened, right? Like
what?
I think can you break it down from a spiritual and emotional perspective, but also an intellectual and scientific perspective as well?
Yeah. When I went after the accident and the operation, I went in. Now, prior to that, I lost 3 people in my life. My sister, a wonderful human being that I lived with for 7 years, who had been my partner, and a very good friend within 6 months. And it was so much grief slamming at me. And I'd already had grief before in my life, so it's kind of stacking up psychologically. Then I get the big hit. Now I've got the grief of the loss, possibly, of my life as I knew it, riding horses, going down rapids, blah, 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 what I always did. Now I go to the medicine. And the medicine starts to move through me, and I can feel it moving through. And it's taking out probably the toxins from the operation. I was out for a long, long time on the operating table. So it's going up and down, and it's moving things physically on a very physical level. Ruben comes over and he goes, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm fine, but I'm freezing. I'm freezing." And he said, "Michele, you've got 5 blankets on you and you're in the jungle." And I'm sweating something out. I'm freezing. I'm shaking, hot and cold. He drops me into the medicine again. I go through it again and again, and I burn it off. Then comes the grief. Then comes the psychological stuff. It picks up from my father's death when I was young. It picks up everything going on. Towards the end of this, and this is quite a long process. This is not one ceremony. There's many ceremonies, and then up into the mountains as well with Wachuma. Then what I had closed off kind of in my heart from the grief started to open up, and then the spiritual world starts to align, and I start to feel that happen in my heart, that my heart can now open up, and in a corny way, love again. But there was everything in there from, the physical, the emotional, the mental strain, and the spiritual. Because after those deaths, I shut down. I just went, I cannot have another person close to me. It's too hard. I want to just put love or, just park it for a while. Just need to park that because I don't want my heart to break anymore. If you get attached to people so strongly in connection. So that's what happened. When I came back, my neurosurgeon, because he was always keeping track of me. So I came back and I walked in and he said, "What have you done?" I said, "I went to the shamans of Peru and I've been with medicine plants." And he said, "I never thought I'd see you walk or move the way you're moving." He said, "This is a miracle to me." And he just went, "There's more things on earth than we'll ever know." He didn't argue over it, try and tell me anything medically differently. And he just said, "That's it. That you're good to go." So all levels.
Wow.
And that's why I bring people there. I see people suffering and I think, come on, let's go to the medicines and start working body, feelings, mind, and spirit.
We're talking about the most complex thing in the known universe, our brains. And for all science has to offer, we're still... I'll talk personally about the impact that Wachuma, I haven't had the pleasure of working with ayahuasca yet, but the impact it's had on me has just been so profound. The most impactful, whatever you want to call it, medicine or modality that I've experienced. And how? Ruben, how is Wachuma and ayahuasca, how are they so powerful and so impactful? What is happening at a cellular level that is able to, as you say, detoxify our bodies and to allow energy to flow and to, again, we can talk about psilocybin as well here, but from a neuroplasticity standpoint as well, change so much.
First of all, these medicines, they exist in the planet for more 10,000. When you take in the research of the archaeologists, they appear these plants in every country. Stonehenge, they discovered, they paint in there the mushrooms. You go to the caves in Peru, you have the cactus. You have in India, in all the countries. These medicines, in the way what you made a medicine, you improve the vibration. And when you ingest in ceremony this medicine, automatic move the vibration in your body in complete different way. And vibration is the way we are expressed to release. So the meaning of these medicines, the meaning of these ceremonies, the meaning of this tradition is allowed to your body to release. In our culture, they teaching complete backwards, to hold it. But when you put attention about your body 24 hours teaching release. I hold it. I hold it. No. I release. And everything in your body. And that is why in our tradition, feeling and emotion is for release. Not only the negative, the positive too. But in our society, we are repressed. They say, you're a boy, don't cry. And my lacrimals, what's the function of my lacrimals? To frozen there? No, need to have a function. When I laughing. And how many times you laughing? I don't remember. How many times you want to cry? Many times. I said, that is, for me, no logic. And this medicine, they help in this way because even when the healer they start to cook the medicine, they put intentions. And science finally prove change the vibration.
Wow.
Even placebo, when you put the intention, come in a good medicine. Because the intention is not about the chemic component. It's about the vibration.
And you will sometimes pick up a quartz stone and explain the power of a stone. For some people, they might see someone wearing a crystal around their neck and think, what are they doing that for? It's very woo-woo or whatever. But quartz is now used in mobiles as, I think you'll be able to explain it a bit better than I will. So what is quartz used for?
Crystals in general is for high tech. That's the beginning. Because this microphone, the cable, the computer, or everything, what you use in this moment for recording this conversation is with quartz, the technology. So that means quartz help to you to move pristine energy. That's the function of the crystals. When you check what you're eating and you go deep, you eat minerals. And the science, they say you need to provide to your body some kind of minerals. And these minerals are crystals. So everything is around that.
And it's all energy. And so we can change in ourselves,
exactly.
Even without these crystals, we can change the flow of energy.
Because you already have them inside of your body. So you don't need to buy one quartz. Ready you have in your body. And these crystals allow to move the vibration. But it's very important, the intention. It's not about somebody tell me. It's about what you believe about yourself.
I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. As we're such a new podcast, every single subscribe and follow makes a huge difference. So if you haven't hit the button already, please feel free to do so. Now, let's get back to the episode. Ruben, when you are in ceremony, and you can use myself as an example or someone else, and Michele as well, I'll open the question to yourself. What are you seeing? Because I know I sometimes say you see in 5D. So you're able to see things that someone like myself will not be able to see.
Okay, first of all, it's very important what you say, I see, I am not look. First. Second one, the light, the help. Because normally the ceremonies, the most important is with the penumbral light, what now we call the darkness. It's less light and allowed to us to connect with the vibration of the body. In our tradition, ancient tradition, the body is the filter of different feelings and emotions. When I put the symbol in my hand, the heart, everybody thinking about love. When I do in the kidneys, nobody thinking what is that? Fear. When I say the liver, nobody thinking about anger. That in our tradition, each one of these organs is a filter of this feeling and the manifestation, the emotions. And when I doing the work in the night, I watching, I try to see, and normally I have one beautiful tool, the rattle. So what I do with the rattle is more or less to touch the energy. To detox is to cleanse, and I doing that. In general, with everyone. So I watch the body and I follow the first connection. I am not thinking. Because when you put your logic, you destroy the connection. I say, okay, I saw in him some dark in the chest. No, but he not fat. He have good body. I miss him. I saw some in your chest, in the chest bone. Okay, I'm rattling. Later, when I start to see you start to breathe more free, I start to thinking, oh, maybe I have depression. Oh, maybe I have this. Oh, maybe I have whatever. But this after. So the first one is this. That's why the medicines open our sense. It's very different when the people, they're looking for tripping. In our tradition, it's not tripping, it's open our sense.
And so you're going by feel. You're feeling, and do you see, and I want to try and visualize this.
both.
Okay, can you see the energy coming off?
Yes.
Can you see the suffer? Can you see a younger, like let's say a younger child in that person that is suffering? Can you see that?
Sometimes it's not about the younger person, but you see it's very heavy, very deep inside. And means this is not for the last couple months, it's for the beginning. And always we recheck. Because I doing some, and after I talking, I say, what are you thinking about that? And you give me some response, and I say, okay, this is for childhood, or this is for teenagers, or this is for last month, whatever, Always it's very important to recheck, but with the first connection, no with the intellectual.
Like this gets in the way.
Yeah.
We think too much. It's in the way. The medicine helps with the seeing and the intuition. That first hit is there. And someone moves, catches my eye, I look, I'm seeing it, and then there's an energetic flow. And I can feel it almost within myself as well. Very often at that moment, Ruben will go, do you see it? And I'd say, yeah. I'll go. And I'll get up and cross the floor of the maloka and go. Or he'll go. And sometimes we'll go take that, some tool to help with the release. One can see the infant. One can see different stages of someone's life where there was probably a crisis or trauma. The face changes, their body moves, the hand comes, the thumb is being sucked. They look so small, so small and vulnerable. And they're into a pre-verbal state. Now, no one's going to remember that, but the body remembers it, right? The body remembers everything that happens to it on a cellular level. So when we start to work that deeply and go, okay, I'm here, here's my hand, let's start working. Then whatever it was that was caught at that stage in their life, they'll start to release. And whether they're yawning, crying, shaking, if they're angry, outside we go and they can stomp on Mother Earth and hit, but whatever it is, that release that has been held onto, making them ill, can then be released. And in that release, what happens to the body is it shifts from the acidity that the Western people usually have. Most of us are very acidic. We're very stressed. We have to go. And we lost being a long time ago. So it moves from the acidic way into, alkaline.
Yeah.
Now we're in harmony. That's just science. And then you mentioned the brain, and there's a classic photo of before and after medicine, psilocybin, where the connection, one is on with psilocybin, I should say, the synapses, the brain is incredibly alive and connected. Okay, what if we take that process and what we learn about connection from these medicines and then have a practice, be it meditation, yoga, shamanic practice, whatever a practice is, contemplative prayer, to keep that alive and to grow that consciousness, because the plants give us, expand our consciousness, and we can keep growing it. And I believe they keep us healthy that way.
When you look at you're a Jungian analyst? Is that the...
No, I'm transpersonal,
no.
From Ancestral. So I'm psychosynthesis.
Psychotherapist.
Yeah, I work a lot with the Jungs within the dream work, and that really helps in processing and integrating the material that comes from working with the medicine. Yeah.
How aligned do you find not just psychosynthesis but other forms of therapy with plant medicine? Because it feels like what Ruben is saying, it's completely aligned, right?
Yes, it's only, again, it's like the mind of the therapist might get in the way and go, no, that's a class A drug. We can't possibly work with that. We can't have it in this country. San Pedro and ayahuasca are class A. So is psilocybin. And so there used to be an absolute no, you don't cross into that world. Now more and more therapists, doctors, surgeons are coming to our retreats. People are curious. People want to see. They're seeing the results in their clients. They're understanding that there's something else. For instance, long ago, I had a wonderful client who, oh Lord, tried in every way to leave cocaine behind. In the end, I said, come to the jungle. Visit ayahuasca. Just be with the medicine. Never touched it again. What a change in a human being's life. And I'm thinking of other people that were heavily addicted as well. Cancer. I really wish I had known about a particular one, Wachuma, when my sister was dying from breast cancer. I really wish I could have helped her with that. I would have taken her to the medicine. Yeah. Because, say, breast cancer, only 3% is DNA. The rest is from stress. That's what the research shows us. So how do we get people off the stress? The medicine can help us. Bring us back to who we really are.
I think the one rebuttal when it comes to plant medicine, when I speak to my friends, is I don't want to lose control. I don't want to feel like I'm going to lose my mind. Ruben, 48 years since your first ceremony as a curandero, and you've had an unblemished record. What would you say to someone that's curious but is afraid? And what do you think they're really afraid of?
When the people have this kind of thought, I say, you know how afraid to be sick? Is my first question.
You're not afraid to be sick?
Yeah. And the people say, yes, I have a lot of fear to be sick. Cancer, this, that. Okay. And what is the way to avoid that? Try to not thinking. Okay, when you come into the ceremony, don't thinking. That's simple. And someone, Michele, they say about the breast cancer, they say 2% is DNA. Yeah, 2 or 3%. In my opinion, is this DNA coming from somebody to have a lot of stress. So the beginning for me, cancer is stress. It's in DNA of me, because my father have a lot of stress, my grandfather have a lot of stress. Okay, what are you expecting? Relaxing? No, stress in my DNA. But even that, in ceremonies, you play and you switch. When somebody say, I have fear to lose control, is because they're working with the medicine in the other side, psychotropic. When you working with the medicine according ancient tradition, is completely different. For example, you drinking wine?
Yeah. Sometimes. Very rarely.
And sometimes, listen to what I say. Sometimes you have one glass of wine and you put in mouth, You drink in a sip, you smell, and you have this expression.
Mm.
You remember?
Mm.
Calm, relax. 2 seconds. After this, God, I need to do that. But you have this moment when you connect with the spirit of the wine to really your body expresses, oh, that is good.
Mm.
The next thought, I need to run because I have meeting in 10 minutes.
Mm.
But you have this second, what this vibration allowed to you to relax.
Mm.
That's the way we ingest the medicine. What happens in case you open a bottle and you drink in the bottle this way? You're not tasting the wine, you're feeling dizzy, and you reach pink elephant. Done. And you forget you have a meeting in 10 minutes, you forget where is the loo, whatever. That's more or less for me the way to explain the way what the people use this medicine, and that is why the people have a lot of fear.
Mm.
But when you have this sip to relaxing you, it's completely different.
And the intentionality
Of course, always.
and the space that you create.
Everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Set and
Everything
setting.
is more or less, I go to the shower and I pretend to read the newspaper. It makes sense for you? No, right? No, it's exactly that. People say, yes, no, makes sense because water running and destroy the paper and the ink disappear. You don't have the choice to read normally the bad news, but you don't have the choice to read nothing. Okay, when you have a plant to grow in the jungle, why I move to other place what is not jungle?
Mm.
Growing only in the jungle. You put this plant here in London, they're not growing. Why I move some vibration, the beautiful environment to other different? Is the only one what exists? No, exists many.
Anywhere around here, it's psilocybin. That's our natural go-to healer. You know, ally healer. So go out liberty caps. That's every place on earth has an ally, has a teacher that helps us get better, that helps us remain healthy. And it is always body, feelings, mind, spirit. All of them. It comes together. But you got to slow down, work with intention, be with it. We are so used to controlling everything from fear. I do. We're talking about being.
Yeah.
And that's what the plants allow us to do. Have a whole different way of being.
You've both mentioned this, but this whole idea of intergenerational pass down of
Systemic
stress.
wounding, yeah.
So, you know, my parents were this way, my grandparents, as an example for myself, both my parents went through civil war, their parents went through civil war and famine, their great-grandparents went through the Great Famine. So the medicine is able to shift something from a, you know, and we talk about pre-verbal as well, which is crazy to think. People find it hard to wrap their heads around. You know, even when I'm having conversations with parents with newborns, they're like, well, they're not going to remember these things that are happening in the first few years of their life. So it's okay if I'm working overseas for the next 3 years and partying and all that. But the kids are, from a cellular level, remembering everything, right?
Yep, the body keeps the score, like that great book. The body keeps the score. But it's just not this body, it's generational. And so the systemic wounding of human beings, and go back and back and back and back. And as Ruben says, if this grandfather was stressed, this person was stressed, this person. And then you look at people that are from Ireland, not one famine, many. Your people, war, famine. Over my people, over and over and over and over. And all of this is handed down in thoughts, behavior, patterns, habits. But what if someone in the family goes, you know what, I'm changing all this. I'm going to just bring something new in here. And I'm going to go deep inside. And I'm going to go to those places, pull them up, wrestle with them, and come out the other side. Now that person the next generation will be very grateful to that person because the buck stops here. They've just stopped a lot of habits and patterns in that family that could cause trauma.
It's such an important thing to know because it's not really well known. And I think it gives a lot of compassion and empathy for the younger generation who are embodying so much of what's come before them. A lot of people think of the young generation as being spoiled and snowflakes and all of this, but they're holding much more, not including all the other stress that they have. So it's really that awareness of they're holding on and probably helps parents also understand their kids as well.
Yes, and be responsible, able to respond, not react, smash, but able to respond to a child's needs. But look at these poor kids that went through COVID worldwide. Lordy, that's going to be there. And how will that be released? How will all of that experience be released? And that's going to be in a body for those that had vaccines and boosters and whatever else, or who had the, COVID in its many forms. But the fear that was there around it all, not being able to go to school, not socializing at certain times, the stress of trying to be educated during a time of insanity, insane what was going on. We hadn't seen it in our lifetime worldwide. We had never had a pandemic. There had been, but not that we remember. And so those kids, they will need help. They will need a lot of patience, and a lot of tender, loving, compassionate care.
What recommendation do you both have for someone listening today that is becoming curious of their own journey with mind, body, spirit connection and have never explored therapy or plant medicine, but are curious? Like, what path should they go on? Is Wachuma ayahuasca a solution for all?
Not for all. Not for all. No. But for those that it's suitable for, and these are two very different medicines, and there are other, plant medicines, then find a safe place. When you were talking about the holding of a ceremony, set and setting. Terence McKenna used to say set and setting. It's find a safe, responsible place. And you'll know if they pack it out and they have too many people, don't go there. If it's over like 14 people in a ceremony, don't go there. That's too many. Just there's certain things that you want to really, really check out. Then what is their intention? If they have been suffering with anxiety or depression for years, okay, that's their intention. I intend to go explore this. Maybe SSRIs, antidepressants, they're tired of being on it or they haven't helped enough, whatever. And it might be, again, systemic. They might be the third person in their family to be on, pharmaceutical medicine. So come to the medicine. See how it works. See if that unlocks any doors and allows for, a healthy person to come forward. And it is amazing. It really is. Psilocybin, just go and look at the research. Anyone that's interested, go read the Johns Hopkins stuff. Go read the college, Imperial College here in London. Look at their research and maps in the United States. The research is there. So if you can trust yourself and trust the people that are holding it, and then go.
So you just said a very important thing, which is if you can trust yourself. When should someone say, yes, I'm ready? Is it when they... Because for me, I felt like it was a long journey to get there. Is it all down to self? And when self is ready? And like how people say they're called to the medicine, they're called to ayahuasca.
And you knew when, didn't you? Yeah. You'll know. There is that knowing.
Ruben, have you ever been in a ceremony with someone and thought this person is just not ready, or they're not ready to confront?
No. No. But always I give, when the people talking about that, I say the easy way to really be ready is when you check the history of your culture. Go to visit the places what our ancestors they live in. Well, you know, I work in the Machu Picchu, and every time when I exploring Machu Picchu, because even now I keep exploring. Each stone tell me one history. And each corner is completely different according to the day, the hour, the season, whatever. It's very magic. And when I am at Machu Picchu, I feel in this energy very magic. And I thinking, who built this? People to have problems in the brain? No. People to have very open mind, very open sense. The same here. Who built Stonehenge?
The Druids.
Exactly. That's the beginning. The ruins. What's the meaning of ruins?
I say Druids. I said
yeah.
Druids, yeah. But ruins.
This is the Stonehenge is a beautiful place what these people build in order to connect with the light. And when you look the last research about this place, you see these people, they drawing the mushrooms there.
They're carved in. If you know where to look,
Wow.
you'll see that they most likely use mushrooms there.
Because there's this, when you think about plant medicine and the different hubs in the world that are attracted or drawn to them, the first place I think of is Silicon Valley, right? It's
Your generation.
yeah.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurs that are looking to open their mind, or open the possibilities of what's to come. I'm going to give you a crystal ball. I always ask this question because this podcast is all about the future. You're both probably the most intuitive and wise people I know.
That's you.
So where do you see the world in 5 years? And where do you see plant medicine, ayahuasca, psilocybin, San Pedro, playing in that? So maybe, like, first of all, Michele, where do you see the world in 5 years? Are you optimistic about how things are going, especially with AI and technology?
That's a great question. 5 years is not that long, and yet long.
Oh, yeah.
5 years it can move so fast with technology. But what I do see is that more and more people are turning on their consciousness. That I'm very aware of and very excited. So on the one hand, we see a lot of disharmony. And I don't have to say much except listen to my accent. You know, I'm from a country that is, the harmony is not, they're not in tune at the moment. Right? So I look in 5 years, what will the United States be like? But what I do know is that there are so many people studying, looking within the medicine and within other forms of consciousness that are opening up and connecting on a very different way. I think that's what's very exciting. So while in a way Silicon Valley is very exciting on one level, and LSD opened some of the doors, and then later, you know, into plant medicine, what happens when people like within here start to open up and really turn on with their intuition and really with their compassion, their empathy, fine tune the frequencies of being a human being? Wow. Turning to love and away from fear. I hope in 5 years that we are tuned into compassion, love, that way, and away from the fear. That's where I hope we are. Could do.
And Ruben?
I think in 5 years we'll start to fighting. I think the change coming more or less in 8 to 10 years. In this moment, we have more or less 3 groups. People to follow the traditions, people to create new traditions, and people to sell and create our own conflict. And the modern society, they collapse. This is the truth, the collapse complete. It's because COVID, because this, because whatever, that's not the problem. But the truth is when you look in the planet, different countries, they collapse. Some people, they have money, but they don't have this. Some people, they have petrol, but they don't have that. But have big conflicts in this moment in the planet. It's descent to the course is recursive. We need to go down, and 8 years, 10 years, we'll start to coming back. I think in the moment when we're coming back, first of all, we have changed the rules of time and space. The same what happened with our ancestors. When I'm talking about Stone Age, they changed the concept about time and space. That's the moment to appear one place to connect with the cycles of the time, not with the linear time. These primitive people, what we call, they put the stones in order to look in when coming the long days and when coming the short days. Nothing about 28, 29 days in February, nothing about the year 2025, nothing about that. And this space allowed to reconnect with the most beautiful energy, the light, the photons, and we had the medicine plants to open our sense. I think in more or less 8, 10 years, we are start to go back to this. We are go back to our history because the most of these big groups start to collapse because they create more damage. That's all what I read about the future.
See, I'm hoping in 5. He's got 8. But it is true. And within consciousness, all time changes. Within consciousness, no, there's no linear time. All is happening. All is happening. So within raising our consciousness, everything changes.
In this moment, have many research about medicine, especially to try to help people to have a lot of depression, anxiety, cancer. But the science only picks on the chemical component. Ancient time, they connect with all the vibration to the feeling, the emotion, and chemical component. What we're missing in this moment.
This is a crazy thing. Whenever I go down to, you go to the pharmacy or whatever, and I'm just picking up like shampoo or something. Anyway, and they go, "Oh, do you want your blood pressure tested?" And I go, "Sure, okay." And they do it, and they go, "Oh, you must already be on some sort of, high blood pressure pills or something." And I go, "No, I'm not on any medication at all." And the last time this happened, the guy said, "But you're 72. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How do you do it?" He said, "I'm a doctor. I'm 35, and I'm on this. Wow. Is that stress? What is that? There's so many things we can do to keep ourselves healthy. Plant medicine being one, for sure. But it's not just plant medicine. It's the process integration of what is eating us up inside. Why are we stressed? What have we done to ourselves?
To someone that's listening and thinking, but, I've had such a tough life and this is just not going to work for me.
Easy. My first question, you are a human being?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, you are intelligent. Use the vibration in order to start to make the change. Not to listen to me, not to follow me. Normally what happens in modern society, I want to have a successful life, okay, I follow this guy. I doing this diet. I travel into this valley. Because somebody traveling, somebody doing, I am not the other person. I am unique. And of course, unique in our society is to push the ego to grow. I am the only one. No, the idea is I am the only one. I need to put attention about what I need to do. Even I am very sick, I am, fat or whatever. You are intelligent. You have the choice to thinking, and you have the choice to change the vibration. You open a little window, and later you have a big door open. But you need to start. It's not about to try to convince. I am not try to convince the people. I say, you need to understand yourself, not me.
It's very possible, but because we live in a society now that is just so drawn to so many distractions, so like, how is there something that you would say just to get back to self?
Give to you only for watch, put alarm at 5 minutes. Only 5 minutes. To try to think in how intelligent you are.
When you asked about someone listening and do they want to change, most people are afraid of change. It's usually through pain, crisis, and failure that people finally crawl in to ask for help, be it to a therapist or medicine plants, whatever it may be. If someone's in so much pain, that's usually when they want change. Now, the next thing is, can they do the work? Are they prepared to go ahead and go in and surrender and go, okay, let me look. Let me pull this all apart and have a really good look. It's normally when they're on their knees that they come in, yeah.
I did a recording a few weeks ago. We did something live.
Cool.
Is there anything that comes to mind that we could do for?
Yeah, can we get a rattle out?
Yeah, I think so. The best tool what we have is to wake up the child what is inside you. Be playful. No 24 hours, but be playful. What I say, 5 minutes, 3 minutes to play. That is really nice.
And when you say to play, is that, apart from being like silent and present and like listening to the body,
Oh, it's everything.
is it just like running around and being a child? Is it
everything?
Yes,
It's playing with colors, playing with notes, playing with music, playing with sound, playing with the dog, playing with the cat. It's playing like a kid plays, play in the mud, play in the water, singing in the rain. Just go there. We're very playful
take a
species.
shower and singing
Yeah.
from the beginning to the end. That is the easy way.
It feels like we're just trying to get back to remove the conditioning, removing what's
Back to
been
the
told
garden.
of us, going back to
The garden.
yeah.
Paradise.
Watching the flowers. Look each petal. It's not the same. Normally you look the flowers and you're thinking all the petals the same. No, watching carefully. Each petal, the color of each one, try to connect with the aroma. So you have many tools in the streets.
Just watch the bees. We used to have a hive where we lived before. Oh my goodness. Sitting next to a hive and just being with bees for a good half hour to hour or more in my case was one of the most beautiful things ever. Just be there. No pun intended. Just being. Yeah.
8 to 10 years. Greater consciousness, some clear learnings. What I'm hearing, Ruben, that there's going to be a lot of suffering that will open up that consciousness or move more people into that space, move more people into trying plant medicine. I do know that in the interim in the next few years that people like RFK, like him or loathe him, is looking at psychedelics and psilocybin and potentially laxing laws in the US. But what happens, in 8 to 10 years? Like, what does the world start to look like? And Mo Gaudat, another person to mention, talks a bit about how AI is going to be a great enabler of it's potentially going to be very destructive, but it could be a great enabler of greater consciousness and creativity as well.
Depends on whose hands it's in.
Yeah.
When I say 8, 10 years, it's the moment when they start to change many things. For example, in case the people start to keep working in the same way to working with ayahuasca, in 20 years disappear the jungle.
No more ayahuasca.
No more ayahuasca, that's the truth. And in the case they keep working with the kambu, with the frogs, in 5 years disappear this means. So when you really look carefully, the way to this medicine help and the way we respond, we try to kill ourselves, to kill the new generations, because that's what they're doing. And when you check with native people, how many times they take ayahuasca, how many days, some people say, I never take. And these people is part of the planet. They have the same strength what we have, but they use all the tools. In this moment, we are looking the easy way, o sea, psilocybin, ayahuasca, San Pedro. We have many other vibrations to allow to us to change. How many times you lay down in the grass to only play with the light of the sun? You close your eyes and you're watching some colors and you play with that. How many times you turn and you lose the balance and you lay down in the grass? You forget that. That's medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That's medicine. And that is for me. When I talking about this, I say, that's the way. So of course, in some moment we need this medicine, ayahuasca, mushrooms, whatever, but not in the way what the globalization pushed in this moment. It's part of the change.
Because it's also, people see it, maybe not as a quick fix, but as something to, grounding on the grass, it's something, it's a practice that you want to probably do every single day, right?
Popular.
Yes.
It became very popular. There's sort of a fad. One has to feel like they have to do it. It's helped others, etc. But what Ruben is saying is very important. In this transition of disharmony to harmony, there will be a time in the jungle where there will not be ayahuasca growing. It will be gone at the rate that people are picking it and plucking it. And it's a wild vine. It will be gone. The frog will be gone. They only say it's on 3 parts of the Amazon, the only ecosystem. It will be gone. It's the last resort of the medicine. The last medicine someone on the Amazon uses is to go to the frog. And Ruben's telling us they don't take ayahuasca. The ayahuasquero takes the ayahuasca or ayahuasquera, and they ingest it. They see what needs to happen for that patient, that family, and then they bring harmony back to that family or the people.
So the family don't take it?
No.
Yeah, wow.
Very often they don't. They don't have to, because the seer sees how to put the healing back into the body. So when I've been there with an ayahuasquera, and he looks and he goes, something's up in your gut here. He comes back in, swinging through the jungle with a bottle in his hand, and he's gone to other plants, produce something for me to detox a part of my body. They have this knowledge. Ruben has this knowledge. It's not just here's the big medicines. Ruben has 100 teas easily that he can go, take this, take this, take this, take this. I'll make it for you. Here, take this. That is the skill. Now, when people turn to harmony at some point, they will turn to tending what has served us and keeping what we have. Being gentle with it. That would be consciousness. Consciousness would keep ayahuasca growing in our native land. It would keep things in balance. Maybe if we don't have to use the frog, we don't use the frog. We need some harmony here, and that's what consciousness can bring us. We're in disharmony at the moment. We just need some harmony. Little harmony would help a lot. Otherwise, we destroy everything, and maybe that's what we have to do as a species, and it's terrible that we take the other species with us. Mother Earth will be fine, and then grow again, and this time learn in harmony. Learn with the consciousness.
As Ruben, you told me in our ceremony once in Quechuan, you said, enjoy, enjoy. And so often we forget to enjoy life and we get back to ourselves.
Be intelligent. Don't put suffering, put enjoy. That's the difference in between one animal, mammal, and us, right? That's very important. Talking about the medicine, something come into my mind. I cook wachuma in my house for 30 years. I have two daughters. They never take Wachuma. Only once, the oldest one take ayahuasca. It's not because I am not allowed to share, because it's there at home. I make gallons of medicine, but they never use. They have problems, yes, but we are used other ways.
Is there one way that you could just share quickly with us?
I tell you, the easy way is thinking you are intelligent. That's the easy way.
For my daughter, who has also been brought up around the medicine and certainly has gone to Peru with me and everywhere else that we go. And Anna's she's wonderful with the people as a crew member. I mean, you have seen her and interact. Anna has been with the medicine. And then she said, oh, I see. I understand now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.